it. When you need to pay your utility bills and domestic staff, Shani Momo. When you want to send love to the family back home, send some Momo. Join the millions of MTN Momo users all over Ghana and live life the brighter way. So just Momo it. MTN.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Day edition of the Midday News.
Let us all remember that nothing in the world can be done unless it has the purported support of God. We have done the battle, and we again rededicate ourselves not only in the struggle to emancipate other territories in Africa.
And this bulletin is live on Joy 99.7 FM in Accra, in Kumasi on Love 99.5 FM on Facebook live stream, and over 30 affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions, including Radio Wa in Wa, ATL FM, Cape Coast, and KTU Radio Koforidua and Radio Mars in Takrady. This bulletin is also on your mobile phone and tablet device via Facebook, YouTube, and the myjoyonline.com app. And this afternoon, family of 25-year-old trainee nurse struggled to come to terms with news of her passing after it was discovered a chief, with the help of a pastor, kidnapped, killed, and secretly buried her. We'll get you the latest in the Central Region shortly as the Inspector General of Police winds down his tour of the Upper West region. We weigh up how successful he's been at addressing the recent killings in the Wa municipality, with 7 persons either killed or missing.
Then we came as a team because we are having a complete assessment of policing across the country to see what it is that we can do differently.
We'll get more from our correspondents. And Bulk Oil Storage and Transportation Company fights off claims there is an imminent fuel shortage in Ghana.
We have about almost 40 days in private storage, plus the 13 days in Boston. So we are nowhere near running out.
Not at all.
Not at all.
We also have sports coming up.
Well, Black Stars assistant coach George Boateng believes the friendly against Brazil on Friday is a big test for the technical team and the players.
And later in this bulletin, motivating Maney nearly 50 years after his death.
We still have you in our heart, just as the river flows deep into the sea.
If all the subsequent heads of states who came to power had a vision of Nkrumah, we shall not be where we are.
So that's on our special Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Day feature. These and more up here on the news at midday with me, Blessed Sogah. Thanks for choosing us. Joy News, independent, fearless, and credible. And this afternoon, relatives of a 25-year-old trainee nurse are struggling to cope with news of her death after learning she was kidnapped, killed, and buried secretly. Police in Mankasim in the Central Region have arrested a pastor who confessed to helping a chief to kill Georgina Asobutwe. The pastor led investigators to the site of the burial to exhume the body yesterday. Central Regional correspondent Richard Kojinyako has the latest.
Anger, shock, disbelief was boldly written on the faces of residents and could be heard in their voices as well as police investigators were led by the pastor to exhume the body of 25-year-old Georgina Asobutwe. The chief, who also serves as president of the Mankasim Traders Association, and the pastor, according to the information gathered by the media, allegedly kidnapped the nurse after engaging in some sexual acts with her. After the deeds, the two were said to have killed her and secretly buried her in one of the chief's apartments. The pastor was arrested in Cape Coast and admitted to the crime. He subsequently led the police to the chief's residence where the victim's body was exhumed. Notices surfaced in Mankasim announcing that the victim was missing. The notice read, Georgina Butchie went for an interview at Cape Coast on Wednesday, and up till now, she cannot be found. Her phone is off. Please, anybody with information about her should call. The victim's body was reportedly buried nearly 3 weeks ago. Along with the body, the victim's bag, shoes, and other possessions were also found at the chief's house. Residents of Mankesim are requesting that the police ensure that justice is served after expressing their surprise and outrage at the incident. She's a thick, tall lady, someone's beautiful daughter, very beautiful. We heard that someone had been secretly buried here, and so we rushed here. It's really painful and heartbreaking. My daughter came to tell me what has happened, and so I want her to always endeavor to sleep early. Investigations by the police led them here to exhume the body. I'm told she was killed and buried about 2 weeks ago. I don't know where the lady comes from, but I can tell you that the mobile phone is a valuable resource. The Mankesim town was thrown into a state of shock, with people trooping to see where the body of the trainee nurse was secretly buried. The victim's body has been deposited in the mortuary of the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital for preservation and autopsy. Reporting for Joy News, Richard Kwejonya, Cape Coast.
Well, so that's the latest from Mankesim. Fortunately, Richard is back on the lines with us. Richard, what's the status of the ongoing investigations?
Well, so the police tell us that they are investigating, but they are keeping their cards close to their chest. They are not giving any information to the media. As of now, we do not know the name of the suspect that is currently in their custody. We have no information about the chief that supposedly aided the pastor in this activity or in this crime. And so they are keeping everything to their chest. They will not speak with the police or anybody.
I'm grateful, and we'll definitely reconnect with you for more updates on that. Richard Kojonyakwa, Central Regional Correspondent. Also, Daniel Tichi has been monitoring the situation for us, engaging the family. He is with our sister station at Dome FM. Daniel, I'm just wondering what the mood is right now where you are. And you've been at the family house since morning. What is your sense of how the family is currently receiving the news?
This news came to the family as a shock this morning when I visited the family. They were all in a mood of mourning, crying uncontrollably. The mother, after speaking to her, shared her views with us.
I see him to be a wicked man. He killed my daughter and buried her. He wrapped my daughter in a plastic bag and buried her. But he has assumed her body, and we've put her in the morgue. That is my story.
Well, so that's mother of the 25-year-old Georgina Asoboche, who we are learning has been murdered. But we can stay on security because the Inspector General of Police is this afternoon ending his tour of the Upper West region following killings of some men there. At least 7 men have either gone missing or have been found dead and their bodies mutilated. Police are providing clinical psychologists to offer psychosocial support to the families involved. Here are excerpts of the IGP's visit.
But with the support of our Father and the good people of Ghana who also see the good things we are doing as a police institution, we shall prevail. And then we came as a team because we are having a complete assessment of policing across the country to see what it is that we can do differently. Because as the saying goes, you can't be doing the same thing over and over again and expect different results. So we think that if you really want to have a paradigm shift and change the face of policing, you have to do things differently. And one of the ways of doing things differently is the typical environment where you cannot just get up in the morning and say that you are producing something for the market to sell. You must first of all find out what the market wants. And in our case, the market that we serve are our masters. That is even more dangerous. It's not just any common market. Because we are public servants. And anytime the word servant is echoed, then there remains that there is a master. Because without a master, there could not be a servant. So we come to our masters to listen, so as for us to be able to know what they want, so that we can then go and produce what they want and give it to them.
IGP George Akufo-Dampare, Rafiq Salam is joining us from the Upper West region. Rafiq, tell us how successful or otherwise the IGP's visit has been.
I can tell you that to a very large extent from the visit of the IGP, people are really satisfied with the tour of the IGP, because I think that is the only IGP who has been able to come to the Upper West region, visit all 11 administrative districts and municipalities in the Upper West region in a day. Actually, the IGP returned to work during the wee hours of this morning, and so he has been able to interact with his people, interact with the residents in the region to see how the challenges that they are going to resolve them for the Upper West region. And so to a very large extent, it's very successful tour for the IGP.
I'm grateful. Rafiq Salam is our Upper West regional correspondent. The bulk oil storage and transportation company boss this afternoon fighting off claims that there's an imminent fuel shortage in Ghana. Some analysts in the last few weeks predicted a situation citing depreciation of the cedi as a key factor to the imminent shortage. Managing Director of BOST, Edwin Provençal, tells me that BOST has at least 13 days of fuel in its own reserve, in addition to the private storage facilities.
It's not accurate at all. In the BOST system, right. So we have tank farms across the length and breadth of the country. And I think this morning I was referring to BOST having 13 days of storage. I meant within the BOST system. Right. It excluded the tank farms, the products in private storage. And I think when I came back and checked, we have about almost 40 days in private storage, plus the 13 days in BOST. So we are nowhere near running out.
Not at all.
Not at all. In the BOST system, we have some challenges. Now, BOST used to have open credits until it was abused with suppliers, and that's what led to our $624 million debt. So today, nobody is willing to have an open credit arrangement with BOST. So what we do is, in 2018, we brought in one cargo, one ship, 2018. In 2019, as I talk to you, we brought in almost, today, as I speak to you, we brought in almost 12 cargoes. So it is a trajectory. And how did we do that? In 2018, no bank was willing to give us any instrument to do anything. But because we had won the confidence of the market today banks are willing. Our LC limits have increased, but not to the level at which we expect. Also, because prices have gone up, whatever LCs we have today can only bring half the quantity of products we can bring. So today, within the BOST system, we have only about 13 days. But then outside the BOST system, the private depots, etc., I'm sure there's a lot of fuel available, that shortage is not imminent.
Well, in recent times, there have been calls for BOST margin, which adds up to the price of fuel to be scrapped. Mr. Provençal says this will have dire consequences for fuel supply beyond the Greater Accra region.
So if you talk about taking away the BOST margin, because the BOST margin comes at a cost. That cost is a social cost. Are you with me?
Right.
So take away the boss. Don't just take away the boss margin. When you are preaching, take away boss margin. Also take away that social cost. Then you are being fair and comparing apples to apples and oranges to oranges. But you don't say take away the boss margin, but boss should continue to manage the depots in Bolga, in Savelugu, in Buipe, in Akosombo, in Mamiwata. It's not fair.
Yeah, but the point is, these are strategic assets, you believe, which some of your competitors, I'm using that word for them, do not even have in the first place.
But all my competitors are putting their resources in the most profitable areas in the country, which is Accra Tema. Go to Accra Tema. You have a plethora of tank farms. Why are they not moving in? Nobody has stopped them from moving into the hinterlands because it's not going to be profitable. Private money does not do social projects. But BOST is mandated to do these things. And they should come at a social cost. And that cost is the BOST margin. You get what I mean? So if you leave it to me, a private sector person,
right,
I'm going to shut down all these other depots. And also,
you would have?
I would have shut them down and also operate solely in Accra Tema to sweat my assets and milk the best out of the best I can out of those assets. But because the shareholder has given us a social mandate, we are mandated to operate in those areas. Are you with me? So it's not apples and oranges. Number two, BOST is a critical infrastructure entity. It's not just a profit-making entity. Profit is not our sole motive. We are a critical infrastructure entity.
Well, so that's the voice of Edwin Provençal. He's managing director for BOST, and you might want to catch the full interview as it airs on the Pulse, on the Joy News channel at 3 p.m. today. Make some time for that as well. And this afternoon, two Ghanaians, Wilberforce ACN and Reverend Wallace Della Brown, who have been accused of aiding 5 Chinese nationals to undertake illegal mining, have been granted bail in the sum of 2 million cedis by an Accra High Court. The 5 Chinese nationals, however, remain behind bars. Court correspondent Joseph Akable now reports.
The two have been slapped with charges including conspiracy to commit crime, namely mining without license, and contracting non-Ghanaians to undertake mining operations and services without a license granted by the minister. The two pleaded not guilty to the charges and were granted bail in the sum of 2 million cedis. They are Wilberforce ACN and Reverend Wallace Della Brown, a reverend minister who lives at Sakumono Estate. The police on September 8 picked up intelligence that some Chinese nationals were engaged in illegal mining at Teleko Bokazo near Nkrofo in the western region. 5 Chinese nationals were arrested as a result of an operation. Investigations is said to have revealed that these 2 Ghanaians contracted the 5 Chinese nationals to undertake the illegal mining. The Chinese have already been slapped with charges and have also pleaded not guilty but remain in police custody. The case is back in court on October 2, 2022.
Well, so that's court correspondent Joseph Akable with a report on that. You're with us here on the Midday News. You're on Joy 99.7 FM, on Love 99.5 in Kumasi. Still to come here, motivating many 50 years after his death.
We still have you in our heart, just as the river flows deep into the sea.
If all the subsequent heads of states who came to power had a vision of Nkrumah, we shall not be where we are.
You might want to stay with us as we bring you that special one on Dr. Kwame Nkrumah on this Memorial Day.
I bet you thought you've seen it all. You must have thought you've watched it all. Gomorrah is a new exciting series about the conflict that rises between the wealthy and the poor. Watch Gomorrah exclusively on Aquaba Magic, DSTV channel 150, Go TV channel 101, and Aquaba Magic Ebusian DSTV channel 149 and Go TV channel 108. With as little as 50 Ghana cedis on DSTV access and 25 Ghana cedis on Go TV value. Gomorrah. Dane?
And thanks for staying with us here on the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. We'll be bringing you sports shortly, but before we do that, member of the Council of State, Sam Okujeto, wants MPs on both sides to put the nation's interest first, since all political parties will be negatively affected if the nation goes up in flames. referencing actually the carnage after Nkrumah's overthrow. The elderly statesman warned the repercussions for all Ghanaians will be dire if there is an unrest in this country. Speaking to Raymond Akwa, lawyer Kujetu asked MPs to work together for the good of the country regardless of their differences.
You can debate the things in Parliament, you understand. You can discuss it in your committee meeting. Committee meeting, we don't debate.
Okay.
We discuss.
Okay.
Discuss the issues. And as I said, if you have facts which may be unknown to the other party, you bring it out. And then you can discuss. And when you discuss, then eventually you have a consensus of what you think should be done. And so if we are not looking at things from the national interest, dangers are there. And the dangers are something that affects each one of us. Because I will tell you, when this one coup occurred, people have died from all the political sides, all the tribes.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Well, so that's the statesman Sam Okujeto in his on app front later tonight at 6 p.m. You want to catch that full interview. But it's time now for sports and, of course, the build-up to Friday, yes?
Yes. Ahead of the crucial friendly between Ghana and Brazil on Friday, assistant coach of the Black Star, George Boateng, has been speaking, and he says the game against Brazil is a big test for the technical team and the players ahead of the FIFA World Cup in Qatar.
I gave you example of why we played Japan and Chile in Japan. Now we've got Brazil, again for the same reason. You're playing against the world number one. What a challenge, what a prospect to look forward to. As a coach, you want to test yourself against the best, but I can also say definitely the players will want to test themselves against the best. So playing against Brazil is a game that you don't need motivation for. You'll be more than motivated to get out there and perform. And also it will give us a good indication of the level that we are at, the players individually, collectively, and as a group.
So that's George Boateng there. And just remember that today at 2 p.m. on Joy News, the full interview between George Boateng and my colleague Oreko Ampofo will be aired. And later will also be on Joy Prime at 4 p.m. And on Friday, there will be commentary on Joy FM for the game at 6 p.m.
Such an exciting holiday.
Absolutely.
Musbal, thank you for sports. Now, let's take you to the Bono East region because the Ghana Tourism Authority there has closed down 13 hospitality facilities in Techiman for operating illegally. The authority indicated that these facilities are operating with impunity in contravention of the laws. Regional manager at the Ghana Tourism Authority branch there, Joseph Piaget, says the exercise was not to punish operators but to ensure that they comply with the standards necessary to help protect their businesses. There's more in the following report by Anas Sabit.
The exercise, which was conducted by the regional offices of the Ghana Tourism Authority in collaboration with the Ghana Police Service, is to, amongst other things, help flush out unregistered and unlicensed hotels, guest house, restaurants, as well as drinking spots across the Bono East region. Regional manager for the GTA, Joseph Apiaje, says there is a need for operators to regularize their operations to meet the standards as spelled out by the law.
We day in and day out, through the various media houses, educate public on the need to regularize their operations before they commence business. But it appears most of the operators have paid deaf ears and they are not heeding to our call. What we are currently doing is to make sure that operators set up, regularize their operations so that we can monitor them and ensure that they operate within the remits of the law and the standard that is expected of them.
Mr. Piaget, who described the exercise as successful, again noted that the exercise is not to punish operators, but rather to ensure that they comply with the necessary standards to help protect their businesses.
We started very well, and fortunately for us, the operators were cooperating, because our intention is not to harass them, but to encourage them to do the right thing, because we are operating within the remits of the law. And once the people are not being regulated by the authority, they don't ensure standards. They don't care about the standards.
He also used the opportunity to admonish operators within the hospitality industry to visit the GTO office for necessary certifications to help sanitize the industry. At the end of day one of the operations, a total of 13 facilities were closed down. Anas Sabit, Joy News, Tichiman.
And back here in Accra, I'm hoping that you're having an exciting holiday. But as the country marks Dr. Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Day today, we take you to his hometown in Nkrofo. Our Western regional correspondent has been compiling interesting stories surrounding his birth, death, and the impact on generations yet unborn.
I caught up with former CEO of Ghana Gas, Dr. George Sipayanki, who feels Ghana's first president has not been celebrated as expected.
Whether we like it or not, Nkrumah was the first prime minister of this country, the first president of this country, and Nkrumah, it's an institution. It is by virtue of the work of Nkrumah that Ghana has become what it is now. And the man came with a vision. He's such a visionary. Look, listen, I'm not demeaning anybody. If all the subsequent heads of states who came to power had a vision of Nkrumah, we shall not be where we are.
Kwabute, a resident of Nkrofo, shares in the thoughts of the former CEO of Ghana Gas. He believes the previous government's administration has failed in developing the hometown of Osajefo.
First president of Ghana, and you go to his hometown, even
This is Osajefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah Museum, situated here at Nkrofo.
And thus, Ghana, your beloved country, is free forever.
Her way going, she couldn't get to the place, so she leave Nkrumah on her way going.
Osajefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah may be dead, but just like the elders of the community believes, the regrowth of a tree, which fell the very day of his death, symbolized the birth of a prominent person from the community.
This tree in the local dialect is called Enyenga. Enyenga. I don't know how to say it in English, but it's Enyenga. And so, people that know Enyenga tree, but it's not that easy, that's simple, that the tree will just fall like that, But when Nkrumah died, this tree fell. And so with time, the tree started, growing again. And this is that's how you see here.
Prince Ni Dako, affectionately called Junior Nkrumah of the Nkrofo Agricultural Senior High School, believes he's a replica of Ghana's first president and hopes to fulfill all his dreams.
One is leadership. So with that leadership skill, I was named Junior Kwame Nkrumah in my school for how I used to speak and how I used to go about his determination.
For Joy News, I am Inathalia Kwansa, Western Region, Nkrofo.
And as the socialists would say, Nkrumah never dies. But that's all we have for you here on the Midday News, here on Joy 99.7 FM in Accra, on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi and affiliates across the country. Our top story this hour: family of 25-year-old trainee nurse struggled to come to terms with news of her passing after it was discovered with a chief with the help of a person who kidnapped, killed, and also secretly buried her. But for those of you who can't have enough of Osajefo, we'll bring you a memorable speech that he once delivered. I am Blessed Sogah, and if you do need more stories, just log on to myjoyonline.com.
At long last, the battle has ended. And my last warning to you is that you ought to stand firm behind us so that we can prove to the world that when the African is given a chance, he can. We are waiting. We shall no more go back to sleep anymore. We are going to demonstrate to the world, to the other nations, young as we are, that we are prepared to lay our own foundation. As I said in the assembly just a minute ago, I made it point that we are going to see that we create our own African personality and identity. The only way in which we can show the world that we are ready for our own battle. But today, may I call upon you all that at this great day, Let us all remember that nothing in the world can be done unless it has the purpose and support of God. We have done the battle, and we again rededicate ourselves not only in the struggle to emancipate other territories in Africa. Our independence is meaningless unless it is linked up with the total liberation of the African continent.